and welcome. This is episode 3 of Frankie and the ex-con, the naked truth you deserve to know. You know, GC Brown, welcome back. This is just such a treat and a delight working with you. But there are some things in life. So we think we know. And then there are we uh the things that we know we don't know, and then there are the things that we don't know. It's like there's all these things about prison that we don't know. We think we know, but we really do not have a clue. This is insights that it's not about. Unfortunately, it's not about who's innocent and who's guilty. One would always think that that was the premise of trials and going to court, but it really isn't. It
No.
really isn't. It's who you got that day, how they were feeling, what was going on, and it just doesn't make sense, rhyme or reason. That's why it's so important that we expose the truth. That's why this podcast exists. And so I'm thrilled and welcome back for a third episode. We left off last time with you creating the relationship and the love of your life in a book called
Yeah.
Sniff.
Yeah.
While you were in prison, several years in, you realized that you needed to do something, that you were this successful entrepreneur. And now all of a sudden, your life went from being this going around the world, all over the world, to, oh, wait a minute, I'm not doing anything. Tell us a little bit about the daily routine of prison life.
Well, so they guards come in screaming at about 5:15 in the morning. Doors start clattering.
I didn't hear you. They what? At 5:30?
I'm sorry. Is the volume not up? How's that?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the guards come in screaming, "Chow!" Wake up! Start banging doors. Prison starts moving at about. A lot of us guys got up at 4:30, 5 o'clock after the 4 o'clock count. They walk around and count you in the middle of the night, so you start getting up and moving around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then at about 5:15, 5:20, they start screaming for breakfast, chow. So then
And what
everybody, the
is
guys,
breakfast consist of?
slop. It's oatmeal that's super watered down, or it's some sort of super inexpensive bran flake. Now, when I first went to prison in 2000, when did I go? 2007. They had 3 meals during the week that were hot breakfasts. You had maybe French toast, and you had a piece of bacon, or you had pancakes one day, or on Fridays you always got a cinnamon roll. That progressed as the budget got bigger and the amount of incarcerated people got bigger. The breakfast, they kind of did away with it, and it was just every other day either an oatmeal, which was terrible, or a bran flake that was even worse. I didn't go to breakfast. So what another move? So they have moves every 10 minutes on the hour. So for 6 o'clock chow, at 5:45 they do a rec move. So you have the choice of going to the rec yard, which is what I did. I went to the rec yard at 5:45 in the morning, and then they close that move at 5 minutes to 6. So you basically got 10 minutes to get out of the unit and to the rec yard before they lock the prison down again. Then they do the next move, and that'll be the breakfast move, the chow move. So they'll pop all the unit doors at one unit at a time. Um, and that depends on who had the cleanest unit for the week. So there's all kinds of things that goes on. So whoever had the cleanest room unit overall, there's about 300 men, 300 to 500 men per unit. So whoever had the cleanest unit for the week, they get to go first to lunch, and then there's a every unit falls behind that depending on where you're ranked for the week. So they
So
release for chow,
so you
and
could
then
go outside. How long were you allowed to stay outside? And what if
so
it was raining?
I still went. I never even missed during the winter. I went outside usually every morning at 5:45 um, for my entire 17 years. Um, so you're allowed to stay on the rec yard until the 7:30 move. So breakfast runs from 6 till about 7:15, and then they shut down the entire prison again, lock everything down. They'll do a move back to the units at 7:30, which is when they clear the rec yard. At 7:30, you go back to the unit. They'll do a work call for the guys that worked in facilities or worked in the kitchen or worked in commissary or wherever it might be that you worked in the prison.
Are
You
you
leave
do
on
you
the
get to
work call.
choose?
Say
Do
it
you
again.
get to choose? Do you get to choose if you
Kind
want
of.
to work or no?
If you don't, when I first got to prison, you don't really have much of a choice. They put you in the kitchen. They put you in the jobs that nobody else wants. So they'll put you on. I ended up in washing pots and pans for 6 months until I was able to get out of that spot. But as you get further along in your term, which they call it a bid instead of a term, but they call it longer in your prison bid. You'll learn how to do things. You'll learn who the guys are that run recreation, and all inmates run everything in the institution. So, and then they all answer to whoever the cop is that's in charge of that particular unit or that spot. So, say you wanted to get into a rec job, which is what I did. You'd find the inmate that is closest to or that gets along best with whatever cop runs runs recreation. So you slip them a few tunas, or if you're at a place which is our currency, fish or stamps, which we'll get to later, I'm sure, but you slip them a few prison currency dollars. They'll get you what they call a cop out. They'll get that cop out to their boss and say, "Hey, this is my buddy. Can you get him onto the crew?" So, which is what happened to me. I got everywhere I went. I always stayed at all 8 facilities. I always stayed on the rec yard because I wanted to be outside. So you'd get the job and you'd show up. And so they go back to the moves. They make the rec move or the work move for the entire institution at 7:45 in the morning. They'll scream over the speakers.
And you don't get paid for
Work
the
move.
you don't do you get paid for these jobs? No.
12 to I think the highest I ever got paid was 19 cents an hour. So it's between 12 cents an hour and 19 cents an hour. So everybody gets it, whether you're scrubbing pots and pans or you're working in the library or you're working in facilities patching up holes or shoveling rock around or fixing electrical or cleaning out toilets, whatever the job is, rec yard, between 12 cents and 19 cents an hour. I knew that was never going up, so I took the cake job. I wanted to be outside in the rec yard, so I'd walk around with a little broom and a little dustpan for an hour in the morning. I'd walk around the track looking for trash and then done for the day. Um, Other guys had jobs that would be 8 hours long. You'd start at 7:30 in the morning. You'd get out sometime in the afternoon. I didn't do those jobs because one, they didn't pay anything. Two, I chose to spend all of my time rehabilitating myself, teaching myself things. I took all kinds of courses, all kinds of classes. I did every kind of program they had. Uh, I did everything. Wrote books. It wasn't worth the 12 cents an hour to stay working 8 hours a day for cops to be screaming and yelling at you the whole day.
When did you realize, and my questions are fast and furious, so bear with
Yeah.
me. When did you realize that you got to change prisons every few years?
Well, you never
Is
really
that
get.
at the beginning?
So, yes, the reason I got to change, there's two reasons you can change. You can get asked for a near home transfer, which they're supposed to keep you within 500 miles of your family. So you can get that. You can purposely get in trouble, which I had to do one time just to get out of a facility to get back closer to home. Um, and you can ask for a program change, which I used that once too. That's how I got to California. And luckily, that's how I ended up meeting Carla, my wife. But there's only a couple of ways to change. Unfortunately, when I first started the prison bid, I asked to stay in South Florida, close to the family. I think I told the story before. Prosecutor interfered, sent me to a gang unit out in Texas. So then I got transferred to Pennsylvania, and then all over 8 different prisons. So you don't really get to choose. There are a couple different ways that you can do it, which I guess is a choice. But most guys, if they want out of a facility for whatever reason, and sometimes you just want out because you've been there for so long, you just want to change the channel. So guys will deliberately get in trouble. They'll pick a fight. They'll uh, may assault staff. There's stab somebody, hit somebody, I've seen guys plant a knife, take a knife and plant it underneath their bed, drop a note to the cops, hey, so and so, there's a knife under the bed. They go in there, find the knife. He goes through the hole and send them to a different institution. So guys do that all the time. Guys just don't. You may have it out with part of your group, part of the guys that are in your race or in your car or however that prison's ran, and you just have enough and you just want to get out. So guys do. You have choices. Some of them aren't good though. You'll lose. Like for instance, if you get caught with a knife, you lose 3 or 4 months or 3 months of good time. So you'll spend an extra 90 days at the end of your prison bid.
Wow.
You'll spend an extra 90 days in. They'll take that back from
That's
good time.
intense. That's intense. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
6 months in the hole, waiting for the transfer. So you got to go through it.
So let me ask you a realistic question.
Mhm.
The same food day in and day out, the same guards, the same people. Uh, I watched the movie Sing Sing the other night, and I thought it was brilliantly done about theater. This was seemed like it was such a wonderful program for many of the prisoners, and they played themselves in the movie. There's several of the parts that they played themselves. And my question to you is, was there why are we not seeing more rehabilitation? Why are we not seeing programs like the arts?
Well,
And
so a two-part answer. So one, the recidivism rate, which is going to blow your mind, is in the high 70s, beginning of 80%. So 7.5 to 8%, or 8 out of 10 men go back to federal prison. There's no rehabilitation. They don't. What they do at state now, mind you, I've never been in trouble before. I've never gone anything but the feds. So, but you hear a lot of the guys talk. A lot of the guys have been around, been in a lot of different prisons, state and federal. In the state, they're not governed by our government. In the state prison, they're governed by whatever state they're in. So, like New York is a little lenient, more lenient in their state prisons and willing to do more things than say Florida or Texas. So it just depends on what state you're in and what programs they'll put in. Now, over the years, you constantly heard about programs coming in the feds, coming, this, parole's coming, this coming, that's coming. Nothing ever happened. The only person that did anything, which I was able to get it, the only person or administration that ever had done anything in the 17 years that I was in prison was the first round of the Trump administration. They did what they called First Step Act, I believe is what it's called. So it allowed you to take some programs, and they were really nonsense programs, but they allowed you to take programs to earn more good time. But the cops, just to give everybody an idea how they don't care about the rehabilitation, most of the cops there and most of the teachers and people that are involved with the BOP system and their programs, they'd have you come in and just sign a piece of paper saying that they taught the class. They wouldn't even teach these guys. I don't know how many classes I did that I didn't actually have to do the class. They give you the workbook and tell you fill it out at your cell and just bring the stuff
So
back.
crazy.
Just mark on this piece of paper that you were here. They don't even care enough to facilitate the programs that have been
So
put in
sad.
place.
So
So it's
sad.
sad. It's sad.
Very
And then they
sad.
wonder
Very, very
why
sad.
it's 80% recidivism. They don't do
So what
anything at
what
all.
are what are you allowed in your cell? Let's talk about what you're allowed to have inside your cell. I think people would
Not
be interested to see that. Are you allowed to have books? Are you
you're
allowed
allowed
to
to have,
have a
allowed to have
transistor
5 books.
Are you
You're allowed
allowed
to
a
have
transistor radio?
yes. So when I first got there in 2007, the MP3 players hadn't hit yet. So it was just a regular transistor radio, AM, FM, dial to digital radio, or not a digital, what do they call that? Analog radio with a pair of headphones you bought for commissary. The same radio that you could buy for 12 or 15 or 18, $19 at that time from Walmart or Target, they sold to you for 60. So they rob you blind.
Wow.
It's a
Yeah.
little battery operated radio. You buy the batteries once a week at commissary. That progressed to, they sold us MP3 players that were, when they did bring them in, they were on Amazon for $19. The prison sold them to us for $189, whatever it was. Charges $1.55 a song. And those
Wow.
plugged into your headphones.
Wow.
Yeah, headphones were 60, 70, $80 from the commissary, which you Target, Walmart, anywhere they were 19, $20. Same with the tennis
So let
shoes.
me
Same
ask
with
you,
it's a money game.
if your family wanted to send you that, they couldn't? Is that it? You
No,
had to go
it's
to the
commissary.
commissary?
Yep. So in state, you could get over the years, I heard rumors. It never happened to me, but you get 20-pound boxes, 50-pound boxes, and it's approved items. They send your family a list of things that they can send in to you. That's not the case in the feds. In the feds, they want your money. They want your family's money. So they sell you everything. You can get nothing from the outside. Nothing.
Crazy.
Uh,
Nothing.
Crazy. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. It's gotten so bad in the federal system now because they can't control the drugs coming in that you no longer get birthday cards, holiday cards, pictures from your family because they can't control. They can't figure out how to control things, so they just make everything punitive, even for the guys that weren't
Yeah.
like me. I wasn't bringing in drugs through the prison system or having drugs sprayed on cards or pictures or anything else, but they took all that away from me, which made it punitive. I hadn't had a picture or a birthday card or a holiday card in years. It's just everything with the Federal Bureau of Prisons is punitive. Does not matter what it is, they will do their best to make sure that you have a terrible day and teach you nothing along the way.
So you would go back to your room after breakfast. Is that what happens? You go back into the room?
Correct. You go back to the unit. After breakfast, you go back to the unit. They'll do the 7:45 work call. They'll close. They'll make that move till about right at 5 minutes to 8. So about 10 minutes, you get to move. So they open. What happens is the cop goes to the door of your unit, yells work call, unlocks the steel door that leads outside. Guys file out to go to work, and those go throughout the institutions, either laundry, commissary, facilities, uh, kitchen, whatever it might be, whatever their job is. So then they'll come over the loudspeakers, compound closed. And then all those places that just accepted inmates will go lock their main door. The unit's cop will lock those doors. And 2 or 3 minutes later, they'll yell, rec move. So then they'll open the rec yard again for the guys that didn't have to go to work, or the guys that don't have, or maybe off, or guys in the unit, or some guys didn't have jobs. Some guys couldn't have jobs. You got handicapped, you got guys in wheel, you got all kinds of stuff there. So they'll make another move at the 8 o'clock, and then which is a 10-minute move. They'll give 10 minutes to go. Now you can go to the library, you can go to education, you can go to whatever classes you may be taking, whatever it is. So 8 o'clock move, and they'll do all those moves on the hour. So wherever you go, when you walk out of the unit and you go to say education, When you get inside there and they close that compound, you're stuck in whatever location you're in till the next move at 10 minutes to 9. So they'll make 10-minute moves on the hour all day long until they close the compound they'll close everything for lunch, and then they'll open again at 1 o'clock and let you do the exact same things on every hour up until the last move of the day, which is 3 o'clock, and then it's lockdown count, dinner, and then we'll open the yard again at 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock, and then it's done for the day.
So you were allowed at night to watch television, and the television, I think you've said several times, is on 24/7. Is there a television, like a lounge that you can go, or is it
Well, yeah,
supervised? What's it like?
there'll be there'll be called it's called a day room, and then inside that day room, which is complete chaos, it'll be everybody in your unit is allowed in that day room, and there'll be, depending on what prison you find yourself at, there'll be a TV for each individual, either individual group, race. It may be race depending on where you are. If you're in the South, it's going to be like, this is the Florida TV, this is the Georgia TV, this is the Tennessee TV, wherever it might be, because federal, obviously you've got guys in Florida from California and guys from Florida in California, and vice versa everywhere. So you get into what they call cars. So you belong to a car. Now, if you get to, say, where I was in Miami, there's not going to be a California car because there won't be that many guys there. So we'll have what they call the West car. And anyway, each one of those groups will have a TV. Now, if you're somewhere like in California where everything's done by race, it'll be the white boy TV, it'll be the news TV, it'll be the Paisa TV, it'll be another Spanish TV, it'll be the black TV, it'll be the Islanders TV. So everybody's got their own section. So, but it's a big wide open room, big wide open space with TVs all the way around. Everybody's screaming, yelling, guys watching the sports. It's just loud chaos. I never went in them.
Sounds to me. And then what time is lights out?
Lights out. They're going to do depending on what prison. Some prisons do a 9:30 bed book count or a lockdown count, which is where you stand next to your rack or in your cell, and you have to stand up and two cops go by and count, make sure they have the right count in the particular unit. Or it's going to be at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. And then after that, the lights go off in the main unit. Now, a lot of the prisons will leave the day room, the community room, open until midnight, so guys can go in there after they clear count at the 10 o'clock. You can go into the day room and watch TV for another couple of hours or till 11:45, and then it's complete lockdown until the next morning when they break the doors.
I have two questions for you. One is, how do you learn to go to the bathroom with everything out and exposed?
Well, in the feds now, before I got there, they said it was wide open. So I didn't experience that. I did experience that in the county jail, where it's just a row of toilets right in the middle of the unit. Some guys will put up they'll put up a towel section, and they'll try, but it's right in the middle of the unit. And the federal system at that level had bathrooms with actual stalls.
Whoa.
Yeah, which was good and bad. All kinds of crazy
Right.
stuff happens in the restrooms, that's for sure. From fights
So there
to
wasn't
everything.
there's not a bathroom in your cell. You had to go and ask permission to go to the bathroom?
Well, no, you didn't. So if you're in a facility where and I did both, if you're in a wide open facility, which is like barracks, so you'll be in there'll be like a big unit. It'll have 500 people in it or 400 people. It'll have a big wall down the middle. It separates the two sides that are locked that you can't get to. But those other 200 guys that you're all sleeping rack to rack to rack to rack, and then there'll be a community bathroom and community shower. Now, if you're at one of the higher facilities or even the lower facilities have individual either cubicles, which with cubicles, you're still going to use a community bathroom, but some of them have, which I had a lot of my time in, a cell. So you go in the cell, you open your door, or you close your door, you put a towel over the top, which covers a little sliver of window you have. You close that, and then do your business. If your celly's in there, you ask them to get out. You just tell them you got to use the restroom really quick. And most guys are pretty good about it. I never had a problem with any of them. If you got to go in the middle of the night and you're in there with your celly, you're locked in. You're not getting, that door's not opening. So if it's an actual cell that you're locked in, you're stuck. If it's not, you've got options.
So if you get sick in the middle of the night, you're out of luck.
Your celly's sick with you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this has been so fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Segment 3. Stay tuned. Segment 4 coming right up. This is Frankie Boyer, G.C. Brown, author of Sniff, entrepreneur of Up Cup Coffee, coffee with a K, which is a wonderful coffee blend with lots of medicinal benefits, including mushrooms, which is kind of like a really cool cup of coffee to have. So we'll be back in just a moment. For those of you, stay tuned for segment 4. Thanks for listening. Make it a great day. And as always, smile. 3. Can you do me a favor and put your mic closer to you? It's very your mic is very distorted. It's not
It's
picking you
not?
up clear. No,
Okay.
it's a little distorted. Yeah.